What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday. I know some of you might be watching football, but for those of you that are not watching football, which I'm not, welcome. A couple announcements here. I have a show coming up September 28th, a couple weeks, in Atlanta at the Variety Playhouse. Tickets are on sale right now. Looks like there's going to be a reunion of my band Billionaire. It'll be a one and only show. It's been 23 years since we played. We're supposed to rehearse next week. We'll see what happens. Then I'm playing in New York City the 17th of October at the Gramercy Theater. You get tickets. All these are in the description below. And then in Berlin, the show that was sold out, they opened up tickets, and they're selling pretty fast here, so that'll probably be sold out. But there's at the Passionskirche on October 28th. And I'm going to actually be in Germany for a little bit before that show. And if there are any scholars that are Beethoven and Mozart scholars out there that want to contact me, that would be great. Then reach out to me at rickbeato1@gmail.com or through the website. But I'm talking, scholars that might be interested in getting on camera talking about some video content. Okay? So that's why I'm going to be in Germany. That's one of the other reasons I'm going to be, other than my show in Berlin. So the things that we're going to talk about today, classical ideas for rock guitar or metal guitar, are all are all referenced. All these ideas are in my Beato Book Interactive. We go through them in my ear training course. There are some things are referenced in my quick lessons course, but some of the stuff will be new. I had a quick lessons video or a short that I did a long time ago, probably a year and a half ago, on a common chord progression of a song that we can't really do on the channel, but I can play the chord progression. And I'm going to talk about that, how to use this and these kind of ideas. When you talk about neoclassical guitar playing in rock, you think of Randy Rhoads, Yngwie Malmsteen, a lot of people, Steve Vai. It's very common. Neoclassical playing is using classical ideas, Bach type ideas, are really in all different types of videos. If you think about all the people that mention Bach, for example, Sting and Dominic Miller, that, that song, Shape of My Heart, is really based out of kind of a classical idea that those guys, they study these ideas. They study classical music for ideas, for linear ideas, for melodic ideas, for chord playing, but for soloing too, right? If I'm playing an arpeggio, let's say now that would be something that over a B minor to F sharp major chord progression, right? I start at B minor. You can hear that when it goes to F sharp major. You can hear that chord progression change there, right? That's B minor 9. I love those. Those are, to me, beautiful, beautiful ideas. Eric Johnson, Pat Metheny. You'll hear people like that play. All different guitar players play these kind of things using these arpeggios. Al Di Meola, these kind of things. So I was thinking about a cool little exercise or etude to use over a chord progression. And the chord progression is a common one. As soon as you hear me play this, you're going to know the tune. And I'm going to play it in chords first, just in arpeggios, because a lot of this stuff is based on arpeggios or connecting arpeggios by single lines, okay? So if I play this progression here, Can you tell what it is already? Play it again. Listen. You know it yet? Come on, you know, demonetized. I like that. It's not Stairway. So if I were to take those and connect those, I'm playing for the harmonic rhythm, meaning the chords are changing at the rate that they change in the song. And I just will connect those ideas. It's also a way, kind of expands upon what I talked about last Saturday. Things to practice, right? All these things are in my Beato Book Interactive. And like I said, these ideas are used in some of my quick lessons. But these arpeggios and how to connect them, right? When I play those first arpeggios, those first chords like that, I'm just connecting them. I'm just playing them as single notes. Then I go to the next one. So it's B minor. This is just B minor. First inversion, second inversion, first inversion. Then I go down F sharp major. Then I go to A major. And then I go down E major. So I went up A major, E major, E. Then up G. Then down D. Then up E minor. Then down F sharp major. I mean, you can experiment with these things. Let's say if I was going, when I go from G to D, I could have gone. That's kind of cool, right? And that to me is a really, really beautiful thing, you know. I use a Neapolitan 6 chord there, right? That's a C over E chord, first inversion major chord, to a F sharp 7 over E to B minor. So let me go through this slowly again. These arpeggios in B minor. The best way to practice these things is to do what I did at first, is just to take the 3-note segments. You can check out any time you'd like, but you can't leave. No, you can leave. So I break these into chords, although when I actually play them as single notes, the first one I'm playing, if I play it as a chord, I'll play the B, F sharp, D like that. But when I play single notes, I will play it. I think it's easier to play 1, 3, 1. You could do that, but that actually closes your hand off for shifting to another. So it closes your hand to shift to another position, right? So I would practice them as chords. So here, then here, then here. So there's 4 arpeggios per chord change. And then I go down the next one. So that was B minor. And then I go down F sharp major. This really helps you get to know where the notes are on your guitar. It's when you learn these things, it makes it to where you never get lost. I talked about this last week a little bit. And the idea of just having these little simple structures, major, minor, triads, if you know where they all are on the guitar, just the basic arpeggios, you don't have to do them. I'm doing as spread triads or open triads. But I could go. And then I could. Right? All right, so I'm going up. So I did a, I'm playing them as straight arpeggios, so not spread triads. I did B minor. Right, and then G major. Then E minor. And then F sharp major. You can do them either way. You want to be able to, but to me, those spread triads sound really, really cool. That's where it gives it this classical. Although it sounds like classical music if I do that. If I just take this chord progression and I practice the arpeggios over that chord progression. Right? And then I go to the closest available note. And then I say, okay, I'm going to A major. Well, I'm on one of the notes from A major. I'm going to go. Then I go E major. Then G major. And then go to D major. Then E minor. It's like an unforgiving tone there, right? You can't really, you can't hide with a really clean sound like that, right? So, but if you're like, okay, well, how do I incorporate that in my lead playing? Well, you take any type of chord progression. If you're playing just E minor, so I did E minor, and then I did C. And then I did G. And then what I do, D. If you learn those, you'll know, even if you're playing in the blues, if you're playing just the pentatonic scale, and and I say, okay, well, where's C major in relation to this? There's my C major. So I know that note's in the C major chord right there, because I know that C major arpeggio there. I know the E minor. Then I gotta go to D. So I'm just doing it in one position here, right where am I? So I'm like, okay. So I'm using those notes to know where the good notes are to stop on, right? If I'm playing here, I know that that's a good note to stop on the C chord because it's the fifth of the C chord, because I can see that arpeggio. I got to tune up here. I can see that arpeggio right in that same position. So learning these things, God, I hate these tuners. Learning these arpeggios in position, though, around where your pentatonics are. You know when Jimmy Page plays in Stairway to Heaven? In that first phrase, he ends on the note F. Why? Because the chord progression is A minor, G, and it goes to F there. And he knows when he hits that, he lands right on the downbeat of that F major chord on that note. He could have played, and that would be so wrong, but he keeps coming back to that note F in the whole solo. Then, he goes there, F major. He uses the F. He uses the F there too. Why? Because he knows where those chords are. How does he know that? Because he was a session guitar player in London. And to do sessions back then, if you want to be a session guitar player, you got to be able to read chord charts, number one. And you got to know your inversions. It's like, why were those people in the Wrecking Crew so good at playing over song after song? Because they were all jazz musicians. And they knew things like inversions, Carol Kay on the bass. If it's going from a C, G to A minor, then she would play ba, ba, B in the bass, ba, because she knows it's good voice leading, right? This is how you get all these classic lines that would happen back then historically. Same thing, all the session players after the Wrecking Crew, all the people that the Larry Carltons, the Steve Lukethers, the Dean Parks, the Jay Gradens, all the people, the Michael Mardian, all the people that played on all those records, that produced all those records, Earth, Wind and Fire records, Steely Dan records, that were session players that played on them. They could all read chord charts. When I interviewed Bernard Purdy, he said he would go, the first thing he would do when he come on a drum thing, he'd go look at the horn charts and see where the stabs were, because he always wanted to play along with those things. And those are really, that was so smart. And then he said that he would play simpler fills, because as the songs got more and more layered with more parts, the simpler fills would stick out more. Right? So he wouldn't, instead of going digga 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 digga, where those things would step all over anything that would get added later, boom, ba-da-ba-doom. He would play really simple things. Or bla-da-da-da-da-doo. Hi-hat fills like that just don't get in the way. I'm thinking of the Green Earrings fill that he played in with James Brown or King Curtis, I think. And these things, Chuck Wagon. You have to disagree with nonsense on music theory. Well, check it out. That's too bad. You know, when people say, is it important to learn these things? Well, if you figure recording was invented in the late 1800s, right? The only way that we know anything about music before that, other than tunes that were passed down traditionally, folk songs, is through notation. These were for people that actually could, you knew what was in Beethoven's mind. You knew what was in Mozart's mind. You knew what was in Bach's mind. You know what was in John Dowland's mind. Why? Because they wrote their music down. Because they were studied musicians, right? You know what's in John Williams' mind. I just watched the new Indiana Jones movie. John Williams, 91 years old. Why do you know? Why do you know what's in Thomas Newman's mind? Because they write it on the paper. They can play it on their instruments and they can hear it and imagine it in their mind and write it down. Okay? Just like all the people that played on all these famous records. And, when I talked to Jimmy Webb, when I interviewed him, who wrote Wichita Lineman, and by the time I get to Phoenix and Galveston, Jimmy wrote his own lead sheets. You know who else? Paul Simon wrote his own lead sheets. This was common. If you watch the Beatles documentary, John Lennon, when he goes to play, I forget what song they were doing, he's like, I'm going to play it on keyboards. And I've said this before. He didn't ask McCartney what the changes were. He just went over to the keyboard and started playing it. Both hands, playing all the chords, never made a mistake. Why? Because these guys were pros, right? They understood this stuff. Those guys they did not make mistakes. You watch that movie, I know this stuff's edited, but the Beatles, oh my God. When they couldn't hear themselves, they didn't make mistakes. They had such good internal sense of pitch that they didn't even need monitors. They literally could not hear themselves. So this idea of knowing kind of where that roadmap is on your instrument and how to use these things is extremely important for not just for improvising, but for reading, for learning how to read, for learning how to come up with parts, right? If I'm going to come up with a guitar part and I know the chord progression, well, it's easy to come up with a guitar part if you know where your inversions are. If I'm going to play if you think about Steve Lukather and all the great parts that he played, on Michael Jackson records or all those famous kind of muted guitar parts he played, he just do one pass. Why? Because he knows where all the chord forms are. He knows what are good riffs that play that fit the song perfectly, right? And he'd play them perfectly. He wouldn't have to practice them because he knew this stuff cold. And just go back and watch the Beatles documentary to see how good of these guys were as players. McCartney is never making mistakes on the piano. Those guys rarely made mistakes at that time. When they break into I said in my video, when they would break into cover songs, they would nail them. They're probably cover songs they played in Hamburg, back in the late 50s. When they learned their 1,000 cover songs, and the guys just didn't ever forget them. And they had such good musical memories. I just listened to a thing where John Lennon sang Let It Be. He's just playing guitar and singing Let It Be. It was during the sessions and it was caught on tape. And he sings the whole song. He's just playing the song on guitar. But I think he played it on the 6-string bass. He knew all the lyrics even. Yeah, of course, they're going over this stuff, but he knew the whole song on guitar and played it without any mistakes just because he liked the song. He thought it was an amazing song when he was just sitting around and he kind of did his own version of it, which is pretty ridiculous, right? That you had people that were so good that they could do that. Why? Because they knew these things. And how do they come up with parts for songs? Because they know all these little arpeggio bits and everything. That's how. All those guys, they know where all these things are. Right? They know the sounds of all these things. When it's Well, what am I doing? Okay, I'm thinking of something, right? I've been thinking about this. I mean, that's unbelievable, right? All those chord changes. And that's just, all the songs are like that. Well, I've been thinking about this because Dylan's been learning all these Beatles songs lately. But getting back to actually studying these things and why it's important. This is why I started out with my Beato Book Interactive. All the stuff's for $99. The sale's going on right now. You can get it through the description below. I didn't make an ear training course. I taught ear training live in the classroom when I was teaching back in the 80s. The reason I wrote my book originally as a book was because I was writing the same things out for everybody. So I put it all together. It took me about 10 months to write it. And then I would Xerox it and we'd use it as a textbook. Not realizing that, 40 years later, or whatever it is, 35 years later, I was going to have a video interactive course, right? That's got hundreds of videos and musical examples and all these tutorials and video lectures and everything about music theory and how all this stuff relates to each other. What the circle of fifths is, what secondary dominant chords, what are third related chords? What are all the diatonic chords in every key? How do you figure it out? How do you know what the circle of fifths is and what chords are in every key, all this stuff, and what notes are in every scale and what the modes are, what the modes of the major scale, melodic minor scale, harmonic minor scale, harmonic major scale, double harmonic major scale, all that stuff. And it's like, okay, well, if you got to know that, you got to know what the stuff sounds like. So I created my ear training course, right? And there's all these modules, hundreds of modules that will take something like this, and you'll know what are those chords? What are the relationships between them? Right? Like, how do you know that this chord is So I'm using those things, right? So I did F major, E flat major to G major. I just play the arpeggios of all those chords. So when I do that, I know if I play this, if I'm going like dun, 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 I can do it right there, or I can do dun, 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 or I can go here, or I can go here. What was I doing? Like dun, 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 dun. It doesn't matter where it is, right? I know where all these chords. Da, 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 do, do, do. I know where all those chords are everywhere on the guitar in every single inversion. Why? Because I basically did this for, because I did it for years, really. And all these things are free here on my website. You can go through this and just learn this stuff. You can slow these things down. Take the first thing that I did where I'm playing. Just slow it down. It'll be like this. or just take this part. So satisfying. Love that. So these are just ideas I'm thinking about. I did a video this week on this chord, this Pat Metheny chord, using a Nashville tuned guitar. I said that it has a flat 9 in it. It really has a half step in it because of the tuning. But really, that chord, somebody asked me in one of the comments, it was like, well, what's that chord on the guitar? It'd be like going. That's really the chord sound right there of it. I did a quick lesson where I ended with that. I did a something like what was it? Oh yeah. And I went. At the very end of it, I did that chord progression because that's right from that Metheny thing, right? But that's kind of how you would play it on the guitar. And on the guitar, when a regular 6-string tuning, not Nashville. If you haven't watched the video, it's a video I put out 2 days ago. But so it'd be D, C, B, G. It's beautiful, but coming from D minor, it's gorgeous. I just love that. I love that. I mean, that's like a classical thing right there. That thing that I played. That's all for today. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. I have a show coming up September 28th here in Atlanta. Variety Playhouse tickets are on sale in the description below. The 17th of October, New York City, the Gramercy Theater, and the 28th of October at the Passionskirche in Berlin, Germany. Have a great rest of your weekend. You guys are amazing. Good to see you all. What's up, Dean? I see you there. The good doctor says it needs to be resolved. That was resolved. You guys are awesome. We'll talk soon. We'll see you.